Welcome back to Twice Married Brother. I am your local friendly neighborhood Twice Married Brother on the line here. Thank you for joining us. And look, today we have a very, very special guest. The first two episodes I spent maybe close to an hour just talking. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, am I talking too much? So for those of you who hung in there while I set up this whole deal with Twice Married Brother, what we're about, thank you for hanging with me, because now we're moving full steam ahead to real world applications with special guests, conversations that we hope will bless you. So today, you see how I started off with my cup overflows with blessing. See that? Hope y'all know that for yourselves, because that is a true statement, whether you believe it or not. Your cup overflows with blessing. And those who are watching this show, I'm sure, or listening, are surely looking for some great things in the area of love and marriage and dating. And that's what we're here for. And as I mentioned before, full disclosure, Twice Married Brother is here for the men, as a testimony and to give hope, to give brothers a positive outlook, to give them faith and power to move powerfully into the land of dating and eventually marriage. And that's why we're here. So I am married. This is my third marriage. And today I have with me a person who was very near and dear to me, who kind of knows exactly what makes me tick. She knows me very well, right? As all wives should. So without further ado, let me give you a bit of a video montage. My wife and I, Latonya Gilliard, we used to do something called Conversations with Carl and Latonya. And sadly, we haven't done that too much lately, but this montage will give you a feel for kind of the dynamics and the dynamism of the Gilliard marital construct. And then I'll bring her on, and then she will, give her take on some things I'm going to ask her. Listen, I have not prepped her in any way. I tried to give her a little bit of prep, and she shoved me off. She told me that she's smart enough to follow what I'm saying. So, okay, well, I'm sure she is. She is smart enough. But all that to say, there's been no rehearsals. There's been no orchestration of our conversation today. And so get ready. So roll them. Let's go. Okay, we're back, and yes, we're black.
Always.
And we might be even blacker than normal on this one. We're back, and we're black.
Hello.
And indeed, my birth certificate says that I am Carl.
And I'm Latonya. God, why does he always do that?
See, she antagonistic already.
That's right. That's what we're going to talk about.
So you driving your car. You're just driving along. Your wife's in, the passenger seat like she usually is and should be, though, because, I don't let my wife drive too much because that just,
Why, because I drive better than you?
And you have rest, and I don't. They're going to pull me over and give me a ticket.
Yeah.
They see you driving like 85 miles an hour, Miss Speed Demon. And what's going to happen is that you're going to pull you over and they're going to look at your breath and say, I'm going to let you go.
No, they don't.
I'm going to let you go.
That's what he would like to think. Well, I mean, just take you, for instance. Seriously. I always wanted 6'4".
I'm 6'4".
Yeah, right. 6'4", 6'3".
Just
big bodybuilder like type that can really just, and gives you those big squeeze and bear hugs. Just envelops you all. So let's just be honest, you're not that.
Dang, really? Where else would the Queen Mary be?
Yeah. Oh, it looks so nice. Yeah. It's so important for you to know what you're supposed to do.
I love when you do that.
Because it's something that I have wrestled with myself.
Love, the tat-a-tat, what we do and how much we are really, really in the tank for a successful marriage, whether it's going well, weathering the storms and living in the high points. That's what we're about. And, I've talked a lot about purpose on this show. So I wanted to bring my wife on to give her perspective so you don't think I'm just talking, making this all up. So without further ado, let's bring on my much better half, much better looking, beautiful wife, Latonya Black Gilliard.
Yeah.
Where you at? Where you at, honey?
What do you mean, where am I at?
Where are you?
I'm at home.
Oh, yeah, you're upstairs. I recognize that. I'm joking. I'm trying to, So, honey, I wanted to have you on today because, as you know, I have been talking very heavily about purpose. I did the whole Jerry Maguire thing, which you were very aware of. You're probably sick of me talking about the Jerry Maguire tie-in, right?
I know how you're into Jerry Maguire, yes.
Yeah, but I am into Jerry Maguire, but obviously into the whole idea of how the film just ties in so perfectly this idea of purpose-centered, purpose-driven marriage and relationships. So, and you've heard me talk about this before, and this is kind of a general question I'm going to ask you, but what in your thinking is purpose-driven relationship in terms of how do you see that?
Purpose-driven relationships or?
Yeah, like us. Like
marriage.
When I talk about it, I mean, what's your take on it? You've heard me talk about it many times, but what's your take? Is that like putting you on the spot?
No, I mean, purpose-driven, sometimes I think purpose-driven is just overused and people don't even know what it means.
Yes.
And it sounds good, Mm-hmm. I want to know what my purpose is. I want to know what I'm supposed to be here doing or whatever. So to me, when you're with somebody else, to me, it just means a team. I mean, you work together as a team. You're not competing against each other. You're not fighting against each other. You're together for a purpose to get something done. Mm-hmm. Because you and I both know marriage is about a lot more than this love. Mm-hmm. And you've got to be doing something together or it's like, what are you doing? You could have just been boyfriend and girlfriend if you wanted to, just live your own individual separate lives.
Yes.
To the point where you don't even connect or, have a common thread.
Indeed. So, okay, let me be more specific in a way that I think you can relate to. So oftentimes I've talked about women buying into the man's purpose. And sometimes when I talk about that, I get a bit of pushback because it sounds like I'm saying that women have to give up what they're called to do. So how do you respond to that?
Give up what you're called to do?
No, yeah, but I mean, sometimes women say that because I'm saying that a woman should buy into the man's purpose first, that it means that her desire, what she's here to do, is now put on the back burner or it's eliminated. So is that true in your mind? Is that how we live our lives?
No, I think it all starts in the dating process when hopefully this man is about something, got something going on, that he's passionate about, that you can get with, that you can support, that you can even enhance and help make better. You definitely don't get rid of what you're doing because that's not authentic. You're not living an authentic life if you just totally get rid of what you want to do, because that will lead to you'll be bitter, you'll be frustrated because you're not being yourself. You're not doing what you want to do.
Yes.
And yeah, no, that doesn't mean that at all. No.
Yeah, I know that. It's like that I hear a lot of women when I say that, it sounds like they're subservient in some way, which is totally not the fact. But let me just flip it this way. So you just said that something he's excited about. Okay. But even more specific to that, it has to be something that he's excited about, but also something that you, like you said, that you see that you can help him with, that you also can be excited about as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to comment on that at all? Or
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I meant when I said that. You got to be able to, say like, oh, he's doing this. Oh, that's fun. Let's see, how can I help him with this?
But you also see the potential in that man too, right? You see that it's something that can come to fruition and become bigger because of your help, right?
Yeah, because if you don't help him be the best that he could be, you're both going to go down.
Yeah.
I mean, you're both on the same airplane. So if he doesn't hold up his end of the pilot ship, then you're both going to crash. So, no, you just got to be, it's like, and it's not that you're his co-pilot,
No.
but hopefully you, as a woman, you have something that you're passionate about too.
Mm-hmm.
And selfishly, you should be able to see where he can probably help you just by being himself, pretty much. Because women, see, the feminine, we are creators. You are providers. And we should be able to know ourselves enough to help create a better environment for whatever you're doing, whatever the man's doing.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, we should be able to, help it be, even if it's just creating a home space that, when he comes home, he's just not extra stressed, not pulled in another direction where, it takes him off of his focus so much. Because, home life can be crazy, but we don't need to add to the craziness.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that. I just had a moment just then. It was what you call it, more, PTSD when you said that, because it's so key, and it also goes to the idea that how differently we're made, men and women, and how different things, we need different things. And I have to say publicly how much I appreciate you, because here we are in Atlanta, Georgia. How did we get here, right?
Ooh, long story.
We don't get to the story, but what I'm saying is that was an idea that I first introduced, and you didn't seem to be on board with it, but all of a sudden you came on board, and here we are. So it's almost like this synchronicity between us, that I introduced an idea that isn't very popular, but you weren't totally turned off by it, and you kind of bought into it. And I think when these things happen, even though they're tough moves, it can't help but succeed, because as you said, we're on the same team, and we are totally faith walkers on this deal, but we're together on this deal, right?
Yeah, and I think it helps. See, the big thing is, as a wife, as a partner, you have to see how this is going to benefit. But as an individual, I'm gonna have to see, how be honest with you have to be honest with yourself,
Right. Hmm.
even if it means a difference of opinion. So as you notice, I said, let's take a trip.
Right.
Let's take a trip there and let me see. Let me feel. And if I didn't feel it, I probably would have beat you down on it. Like, no, no, no. I'm giving you 50 million reasons why, I didn't want to go. Um, but thank goodness when I got here, I just started to see a bigger picture unfold, you
Hmm.
know? And I'm actually just grateful. And I think I started to see how it would be better here for you
Hmm.
too. So yeah.
That's really interesting. See, this is what I'm talking about. Now, um, I have been married. This is my third marriage, as my audience knows, because I've talked about it before.
Hmm.
And it's no slam on any of the other ones, okay? But the fact that you saw that it would be better for me and for you in the role as my wife, to me, kind of gives credence to the idea of how men need to be tuned in to what they're doing. And the wife picks up on that, even when, you know, he's not feeling as confident some days, you know?
Yeah.
And so how do you see your role there? Because you know me, okay, and how you hey,
Yeah.
watch them eyes. I see them eyes rolling, okay.
Well,
Hey,
no, because I know how you're right. I know you.
hey.
And I mean, most men, well, I don't want to just say men, because at one point we all have to deal with our confidence level.
Mhm.
But when you are like down on that confidence level, I have to be able to, well, now I've gotten to the point where I understand how to help get you up out of that. Even if you try to kick back on me,
Mhm.
now I know what that MO is for you. And then I know how it just doesn't serve you at all.
Right, right,
So I push past that.
right.
I push past all of your old programming
Yeah,
because sometimes, you have to understand people get programmed into things that they've been through in the past.
mhm.
And a lot of times we just live in the past when it comes to us feeling like we're not doing our best. All that comes from the past because you're comparing yourself to what you did back then.
Right.
And so that's just what I realize. It's a skill. This is a skill that a wife must have. It's a skill to be able to lift your husband up to a place where he doesn't even know what you're doing. He's just affected by it in a positive, uplifting, loving way.
Right.
Because it's not up to me to figure out the how everything is supposed to happen. I just know and I trust that everything's going to be fine. You see, because you have to be careful. Men, you have to be careful who you choose. That if both of you are going to be scared, when the money gets funny and you don't know where anything's going to come from, if both of you are scared, you're going to drive each other crazy.
Right.
You know?
That's true. Yes, yeah. But the thing about it though is that, look, you were watching the Ebony K. Williams, Ayanla. I can never say her name.
Ayanla Van Zandt.
Ayanla. Ayanla.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
even
I just said it.
try.
And I think, in fairness to Ebony, okay, she
Mhm.
was voicing kind of you got to show me what you're doing first before I buy in, which is not entirely incorrect, okay? But it has to be in balance. But I just find, like you just said something right now, when the money gets funny. There are women, there are women who, when the money gets funny, they get funny and put you on a time watch. And if it doesn't get better, then they out, or they lose respect for you, which respect for us is everything. But yet you just said when the money gets funny, you have to find a way to to me, your attitude about it to me is a more appropriate wife trait. But even bigger than that, it goes to your suitability to me, which is how
Mhm.
I've been trying to lay out this case for purpose. I'll tell this story and you can comment on it because you're gonna remember this. So early in our dating stages, in 2014, I produced an event. It was a NAACP Theater Awards. It was not theater awards. It was a theater festival.
Festival.
Yeah, and for this particular event, when the NAACP came to me, I pitched an idea. They had in the past done new plays. People would come on and they would do these new plays. And I said, no, let's do an event that brings people together and we focus on plays around town and do excerpts from those plays. And we had all these great people that were there who did this. I don't remember all the names, but there were some great plays there that we saw excerpts for over. I think was it 2 days or one day? It was one day, wasn't it?
I think it was just one.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was one day.
one day.
The weekend was 2 days, but my portion of it was
It was just one day.
yeah. So you came to this. We were dating, and I didn't know where you were. You were just there. And you were downstairs in the dressing room. You were helping people with makeup and answering questions and running around and helping people. So, of course, I'm like 5 people that day. And so I come back there and at least 2 people said to me, who is this woman who's doing this? Who is that woman? Latonya, who is she? One person, her name is Rhonda Mormon. I'm going to call the name out. He said, you might want to, consider her more closely. So look, again, this is all about me and my choices and not talking about anybody, but I'm telling you, having been married before, okay, maybe one of them might have done something a little bit like that. The second one absolutely would not have done that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you thinking when you did that? I mean, what was that about?
Well, you talk about suitability because theater is, I don't think you actually really know about how much I loved theater, but this was something that I did, like as a producer back home in North Carolina. I just have an innate sense about me on how to make things run smoothly with people. So I just jumped into the things that you weren't going to think about because
Right.
you were busy, weren't you hosting?
I did. I was hosting and I was just doing stuff, and like putting fires out in the area of like order of show, and people had questions about where they needed to be. And I did have some help. There was some other like intern, but I was doing
Right.
more production stuff for the show itself.
So yeah, and then there's always a need backstage. Because if everything's topsy-turvy backstage, your front stage is going to be horrible.
Yeah.
People are going to be all discombobulated. Backstage, I know people need to know where the bathroom is. Do we have refreshments? Can I have some water? I might need some help. I need to get a message to somebody. Stuff like that. Right. That is what I was taking care of. And that's where I knew I could just fit in as just being just like a floating concierge almost.
Right.
You know? So whenever I saw a need, I just filled it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, that's great. The fact that you're a theater person is great, and I get the connection there. The fact that you were a floating concierge, that's great. But you know what?
But you were on stage, and it's like, I know you wanted this thing to go smoothly. Everybody does when you're doing something. And I knew there were some things that you hadn't thought of. Mm-hmm. And most people, when you're doing that kind of stuff and you're hosting, you don't think of everything.
Right.
So
I forgot that I was hosting. I forgot all about that. I sure
yeah,
was.
you were up front. You were on
Right.
stage, introducing people and stuff. So I just know that you can't think of everything.
Right.
So I was right there, and in order to make you look good and make the people happy, so
They
when
were
they
very
come on
happy too. They had a
stage,
great day. It was a great day.
they,
Yeah.
when they come on stage, they'll be at their best, not frazzled and frustrated because they didn't get simple things like water or, something to snack on or somebody to let me know when I go on, who's on stage now, stuff like
Right.
that. I was just filling in all those gaps and holes so that your show could run smoothly.
Well, I think you're being humble. You know why? Because everything you're saying is true, but it's very rare in today's world, in our culture in America, to be service oriented.
True.
I
am.
Even if it is your area of expertise, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the service oriented part and your willingness, without thinking about it, to try to make me look good.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose part.
Yeah, because I didn't know those people.
Right.
Yeah, you had a lot of people there that I did not know.
I know.
I know them now.
Right. Right. And that's something. And then to that point, it's funny. So we're going to wind it up a little bit, but there's a couple of other things I want to bring up. So you say you know them now, and that's something that's hilarious. Brothers, let me tell you how you know you got a good woman. Okay. Here's my point, my opportunity to get this through. When I have a very, very wide circle of friends, my mom says that that I have never lost a friend. It's not quite true, but I know what she's talking about, having her having known me for all 60 plus years of my life. So this is how you know you have a winner, is when your friends embrace her. Now, I'm not trying to say that, it's about people accepting somebody who you know is right for you. But a red flag is when you have a woman at your side and nobody likes her. That's a red flag. I don't care what you say, okay?
Yeah, it is.
Likewise, when you have someone who your friends are embracing. Most of my female friends, in fact, there's a quick story. I'll digress for a second. There's a friend of mine who's a mutual friend of ours who told Latonya that one thing to look out for me is I have too many female friends. Right? right. And I did. Not so much anymore. I mean, I do, but I don't interact with them.
You still do.
I still do, but I don't interact with them like I used to.
No, but that's the point is, I don't care how many female friends you got. It's that you're responsible for letting them know my place.
And I think I do a good job of that.
And I didn't have any problem with that.
Yeah. So, but here's the point, though. Many of these female friends, some of my male friends, they like you better. They don't even like me anymore. I have to say, hey, here I am.
I don't know about that.
Hey, it's Carl. Hey, remember me? Hey. Hey. Right? How do you feel about that? Is that something you've noticed too? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I know. I know. I will give myself credit for being a very kind person.
Right. Yes.
So it's hard to not connect with someone who's kind.
That's true.
And I will give myself, I know myself enough to know that I am kind. I know everybody's not going to like me, but I am a kind person. And a lot of your friends, I won't say they like me better, but they like me too.
Okay, I think they like you better, but okay, you being modest again. I mean, it's not like I care really. I get why they like you better because I know how I can be. I know that I'm a nice guy, but I can give them a little space.
Yeah, you kind of rough around the edges sometimes. They probably have experienced that, and they're like, They like the sugar more than they like the salt.
But see, that's what you're there for. You're there to bring the sugar out. Since
Yeah,
we're married, you're the sugar for me. It's also my sugar. It's not just your sugar.
yeah,
We're together, right?
yep. That's true.
So
That's
yeah, I
true.
think that's pretty amazing to me. So brothers, when you find that people don't like the woman you with, you should listen. I'm not trying to say that you need to be, because sometimes people will give you bad information. I get that, but when it's kind of a common thread, when I split from one of the wives, people came out the woodwork. I kid you not. Oh, I'm so glad you broke up. Oh my God, she said this on this day. She did this to me one time. I'm telling you, I could do not a book, but certainly a couple of
Yeah.
pages of people who said to me how and before I married her, I did get some warnings from people about the same things. No slam on her. She just was inappropriate for me. She's great with somebody else, but me. This is the point I'm getting at. This is not a slam on anybody. This is what I'm saying is brothers who are watching this, be very, very careful of your choices and don't make these choices without understanding who you are. And it's not just about a job. It's about who you are, which, spills over. In my case, I think it spills over for sure into what my business is, but sometimes it doesn't. It's
Right.
your heart, right?
True.
Blended families.
Oh.
So, I'm gonna brag some more about Latonya. She, okay, I don't know how to explain this. So both of us, this is our third marriage. Okay, her second marriage produced children, right? Who are also my children as often as they let me be. Damn. But okay, they're all grown. But anyway,
Everybody's grown on both of our sides. Everybody's grown.
everybody's grown. That's true. But your baby is the baby. So, and she's my heart. So anyway, you also have I guess bonus kids from your ex-husband's side,
Right.
who you still are grandmother to and still treat as family. So I want you to comment a bit about that. You know what I'm saying? Your
Yeah.
whole take on that, because you're no longer with that person, right?
Right.
You're with me, but you still have a strong connection. So tell me about that.
I mean, it's just a love relationship. Before I got into that relationship, I knew what I was getting into, and I knew who those kids were, and I had to make a choice, on or as to accepting them or not, and I did. So, I mean, there was a little bit of drama with one's, mother,
Right.
but we were able to kind of smooth that out as the child got older.
Right.
And spent more time with us and everything. That became not an issue anymore. But I mean, I just treated the children like they were my own. And then when I had my own, they were all loving siblings, And I do realize you have to create a loving home in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because when we had my biological two children, they loved their brother and sister. Their half brother and sister, but that word never entered into our home.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we created a family. And I know, now I will give myself credit. I know I had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I know you did. That's
Yeah.
the reason I'm bringing it up. I'm gonna say something when you get done, but keep going.
I had a whole lot to do with that because as a mother, as the soft spot in the home, you have to be there for the kids. And, I mean, in some cases, as they got older and I was no longer with him, they would still look to me for the same kind of love and advice and stuff that I would always give. And that never changed. So the thing was, it's like I was really being who I was.
Right.
And that never changed. So as they got older, just because we weren't together anymore, that never changed. But they were able to feel that love. So that's why we're still, family.
Well, again, that's everything you're saying is obviously true, and
Yeah.
it's a testimony though to your heart as in my view, because I'm gonna make a general statement that you may push me back on. I've said it before. We'll see how it goes. So I don't think men are real good necessarily at being the soft spot, but
No.
I do think that men, in generally speaking, do a better job of accepting other people's kids. And well, I'm just speaking just off the top of my head because it's really, it doesn't really have an impact on anything because what's done is done. I wish I could have married you when my kids were small. It's not been married because it, by and large, kids don't do well, by and large, with you marrying someone other than their mother or father. In your case, I know there's some situations there, but I know that in my case, my kids were, very close to their mother, as most kids are.
Right.
And when I got married again, it was a tough transition for them. So it would have needed to have someone with your heart that could have been able to help them make that transition. If you're going to get married, brothers, this is the point I'm making, and you have children, first of all, I would tread very, very lightly on that. I mean, there's an argument that can be made that you should maybe wait until the kids are adults. I think that that's preferable than to do it when you have someone who really doesn't have the ability to accept your children. I mean, as a whole. So you said earlier, you said that there's, you said something about it was all about love. I'm paraphrasing because that love extends beyond the ending of your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so that's what I'm saying to the brothers because see, and I'm opining a bit. I'm getting on my bit of a soapbox, but the reason why men do it better isn't that men are naturally built to do that. I just think that men estimate what they're getting into, which I think you're saying. So if a man is dating a woman who has 2 kids or whatever, a kid, 3 kids, whatever, he's looking at that package and saying, okay, if I marry the mother, this is a part of that package. Women generally, not everyone, okay, looks at the man and they might not want to get involved with that man because he's got kids. But if they do, they're not looking at the fact he's got kids. They're looking at the way to get that man to take care of their children and to pull them away from his own children, which I don't like. In my case, for example, that's not her fault. That's my fault. We've talked about this, right? So last thing, if you want to comment on what I just said, I was on a little bit of a soapbox and we got to stop because we had about 30 some odd minutes. I got to put the other excerpt in. So what do you think about what I just said?
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, there are always some exceptions,
Yes.
but men have to actually be more careful um when they're gonna have a choosing to get married to somebody who already has kids. um First of all, if well, let's say you have kids, let's say the man has kids,
Yes.
okay, and the woman may or may not have kids, but a lot of times, I don't know, and it's like, how do you vet that? I don't know, because if you have kids, you have got to take the time to see this potential wife
Mm-hmm.
in situations with the kids. And if your baby mama is in the picture,
Right.
you're gonna have to see how that works too. Because a lot
Yeah.
of times women don't want to marry men with kids because they don't want the baby mama drama. Because as women, we know how we are.
Yes. And
And
that's
if
legitimate. That's legitimate.
yeah, because if a woman, we know that if a woman still wants you, oh, she's gonna create all kinds of havoc. She's gonna create all kinds of problems. And if she doesn't still want you, but she's bitter, that's even worse. You know?
Right, right,
So, that woman's gonna do sometimes what she can to make things uncomfortable with you because it didn't work out with her,
right, right, right.
you
That's true.
know?
That's true.
So, yeah. And then a man could have, if the baby's father is in the picture, you have to look out for that too. But sometimes it's a situation where the two men won't even see each other because sometimes the man's totally just not in the picture, you know? Um, and these women are looking for somebody to help raise their child.
Well,
That's why.
absolutely. That's kind of my point is that,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, and I don't think it's something that, at least I don't think it is, because I don't like reading hearts, that women are doing maliciously. It's more of an issue of survival for them.
Yeah.
In the case of helping them, they need the help to raise their children. They want them, they want you, they want a husband, but they also want that husband to fit into their world.
Right.
And so that is kind of what it is. And that's kind of what I know other guys, who have fallen into this.
Yeah.
It's in my view, not to be a victim too much. I think that men who step into these situations it's a thankless job, especially
Yeah.
when the marriage goes left or something happens. It's a thankless job. But men are up to that. We're not used to getting a lot of credit per se. That's kind of the whole idea of Father's Day and Mother's Day, for example. You're not like
Yeah.
this, but Mother's Day can be a whole weekend. It could be, it could be a month, whatever. But
Yeah.
Father's Day, we know if we get some high karate and a tie and some burnt bacon and toast, that's it. But we're cool with that because we bought in. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I mean that's a whole different story. That's a
Yeah, yeah.
whole
And I'm
that's
saying there's
another
some
one.
analogy there. There's some analogy is what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because mothers are mothers. I mean, everybody has, if you're alive, you have a mother.
Right. Right.
Whether she's dead or alive, you have a mother.
Right.
And most of the time, I mean, there's some women who weren't up for the job, but most of the time, a mom is just a loving, caring, unconditionally caring mom. And
Hmm.
she's going to be there in from raising you to when you get old, if she's still around, if you're blessed to still have a parent around.
Hmm.
So, that's just the love of a mother. That's why
Yes.
Mother's Day is so much bigger than Father's Day.
Right. Right. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that to disparage it. I'm just pointing out what it is and how
Yeah.
how
But
men as a
yeah,
rule
men don't
don't
always
tend
get
to.
a fair
Yeah.
shake if they're in the picture.
Right. Yeah. I'm
You
not
know,
complaining. I'm just pointing it out.
but
Yeah.
I've seen it. I have seen it. Men don't always get a fair shake when it comes to um a blended family type of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's men are, especially black men. Black men are so important um to our world, to our society. And a lot of times, you know, if a woman is stuck doing a lot of this on her own,
Hmm.
then God bless the man that tries to fit into her world
Yeah.
because she's had to do so much.
By yourself.
Yeah, it's gonna now that I would advise a man to look into first. If a woman's been single for a while with a child, you sure better you better take extra time to get to know that person, to see her mentality, to see her mindset,
Hmm.
because you may be the one who ends up suffering
Yeah.
because she's going to always choose that child first, and she's going to, feel like I've done this so much by myself, you know, I really don't need you. And you
Hmm.
have to see how she has that child feel about you. too.
Right.
Because if she doesn't make a smooth transition from, with adding you into her life with this child, then that child's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that just about, well, it does end our talk. You're upstairs, so I'll be up in a second, honey. So anyway, thank you for joining the Twice Married Brother podcast.
Yes, Mr. Twice Married Brother.
I call this episode Purpose Realized. It's kind of a testimony to what I've been talking about. Now, coming soon, we're going to be doing some other things. Latonya will be coming back. My boy Daryl will be here, and we're going to shake it up. It will get a little controversial.
Yes.
So stay tuned in. On what night are we on? This is on Sundays.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Latonya Black Gilliard. Love
You're
you.
welcome, honey.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.